Welcome, LA Progressive friends. Today we have with us Gabriela Vázquez. And Gabriela was instrumental, her organization was instrumental in some of the great successes we've seen as we are in the final count for the midterms. Even though it's been 10 days since we had an election, LA County and really the state of California has not finished this count, but we are super excited about the work that La Defensa has done, and Gabriela Vázquez with La Defensa has just been so instrumental in making LA a better place. So I'm gonna just read you a little bit about what I know Gabriela Vázquez does. She's the Deputy Director of La Defensa. In her work, she has worked in helping to correct the LA County jail system, fighting for judicial accountability, fair and transparent pretrial processes. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more about her work with La Defensa. So Gabby, please take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you, Sharon. And yes, please call me Gabby. And first, I want to start off by thanking you and your partner, Dick, for joining with us earlier this year for the Judicial Candidate Forum for the Defenders of Justice. So thank you for putting in all that work and really trying to do your part in informing voters about who these people are, why are judicial elections important, why do they matter to us, right? So I want to start there by thanking both of you for all that labor. And just a little bit about me, Gabby Vasquez, I use she, her pronouns. I am born and raised in Los Angeles in the community of Highland Park. I am the child of two labor organizers. They were union organizers well, my mother's from Ecuador, my father was from Mexico, and they met in the late 70s in the labor movement. So I felt that kind of upbringing, that early exposure to inequity and movement work is what has kind of led me to this point in my life where I'm able to, continue that kind of work in a different way, but in ways that are still intersectional, which is something that they really taught me at a young age, right? Is that it's not just about one thing, it's about multiple things. And we need to acknowledge all of them to be able to really move progress forward, right? So I went to undergrad at UC Riverside. Immediately after that, I became a union organizer. I did that for about 4 years, mostly focused on new member campaigns, meaning it was workers that did not have a union yet. So we would run what is mostly, known as like NLRB elections, National Labor Relations Board elections. So that was where I focused a lot of my work for those 4 years. And then after that, I had a kind of change of interests, and I moved into doing like immigration law work with two attorneys that worked in the heart of East LA. I worked on U visa applications, asylum cases for unaccompanied minors, naturalization, family-based petitions. So I did that for a handful of years as well. And then the pandemic hit, right? And things shifted for so many people, including myself. And I happened to see a job posting for La Defensa. I was immediately intrigued by, what their message was and who Onisis was and Yvette. And I applied. And so now I've been with the team since the summer of 2020. I've been with La Defensa for 2.5 years. And I started as an organizer. And now we're here and we've done so much in between. But yeah.
Great. Well, you mentioned Onisis, so I feel it's incumbent upon me to tell a little bit about Onisis, because she will be the member of the city council who will literally be my member. So my husband Dick and I live in the city councilmatic district where Onisis will be our voice. She'll be representing us, and we're very excited about that. We supported her, endorsed her, Onisis Hernandez, who will be replacing Gil Cedillo when she gets sworn in December. So that's the Onisis you talk about. And we've known her for several years. She's done a lot of good work. And I'm really excited about what La Defensa is doing. So can you speak to the mission of La Defensa, particularly in its role in improving the general public's knowledge about judges?
Yes, absolutely. Great question. And so, yeah, our co-founders are Council Member-elect Hernandez and Yvette Ale-Ferlito, and they started La Defensa in 2019, really trying to imagine how do we fill this gap, right? There is a lack of judicial accountability, and we have seen this impact, across progressive movement work, right? So that's kind of why they started this, and they're just truly powerhouses, right? They understand policy, advocacy, grassroots organizing. So that's the kind of organization they wanted to build, and that we were able to build together. And really, like, in particular, like, what our main focuses are is finding alternatives to incarceration, uplifting alternatives to incarceration whenever we can, and really also connecting those dots, right? Because there are people out there, like public defenders, like the defenders of justice, who in their careers were being that person to connect somebody to an alternative, right? To a program, to a service, to a psychologist, to counselors, right? That's what Holly, Elizabeth, and Anna as public defenders would do, right? And so really what we were able to accomplish with these past few years is start filling these gaps and start imagining, like, how do we keep growing this movement, right? Of getting people excited about these kinds of races that I think at times were people didn't know anything about judicial elections, right? They had no really, like, point of reference either. And really, what I like about everything that we do, because we have our hands in a lot of different buckets, is we focus on political education. We want to make sure that Angelinos feel informed before they go into anything, especially their voting centers, right? We want to make sure that they have that awareness and that confidence that they know who they're voting for, and it's not just kind of like a guessing game, which has been the case all this time.
That's right. It's been the case. Even for us, the LA Progressive, we're going into our 15th year. We publish every day, and come election season, every 2 years, we've got to provide information. And I rely on a half a dozen sources to help to provide me with information about those who are judicial candidates. But I'm not always confident that the information I have is good. And and I mean, and there were some times when we've had flack. So it really is very gratifying to know that we have an organization that we can partner with, like La Defensa, that really does the work to educate us about the public defenders that will be running for judicial office. And I learned, as a result of that forum, that educational forum that we did, I learned that in the history of LA County, up until November the 8th, this 10 days ago, that we had never elected a public defender to be a Superior Court judge. I mean, I couldn't believe that.
Right.
But now we do have Holly. You want to talk about that and the role that you played in making that a reality?
Yes, and I will say I'm always looking at the results, because it's not official yet. Not all the ballots have been counted, but every time I look, Holly's number is just going. I think she's almost at 1 million. Yeah. 1 million people voted for Holly, and so I got all excited right now. I got some chills because I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for her because just for context, Holly is one of 3 public defenders to have ever ran in the past, in these past 20 plus years with elections to elect judges to the LA Superior Court. Holly was one of 3. She narrowly lost to a career prosecutor, right? Actually, another note to make, Sharon, is that the 3 public defenders who have ran in the past were all African American. And so now, fast forward to 2022, what we were able to do with the defenders of justice is we paid attention to what Holly shared with us when we first met her. And this was when we were putting on educational forums about transforming the judiciary, how in some places around the country, others have kind of moved progressive slates. That's how we connected with Holly. And when we spoke to her, she's the one that really opened our eyes to a lot of these facts, right? That we had never elected a public defender, that essentially who we are constantly electing is former prosecutors or people who are already judges, and that there was, this imbalance of who ends up representing, the legal field at the point of judge, right? Like that was the disconnect that she opened our eyes to. But the other thing that Holly shared was that it was a very lonely process when she ran the first time, that she felt, in a way isolated by the experience. And we did see that there are, campaign strategists out there that, really help the DAs go from A to Z and win these races. And as we've already named, they used to be kind of quiet races, not much attention to them, in a way that I felt that was very deliberate, right? In the past. But I think what we were able to do with Holly, who is now, soon to be sworn in, I believe in January, is uplift people who are so deserving of this, of this position of becoming our next local judge, right? And we were able to do that with her, and I'm really proud of her for just all of the energy she's put into this, for these past, 5 years, really. What she's been able to do, and how she's been able to inspire others, because really that's how the other three even thought about it, is because they said, wow, like Holly's gonna run again, I love her, like she's such an incredible advocate, I might run too. And that's really how we got this incredible group of folks to put their hats in the, in the ring and run.
That's
So
right.
I'm very proud of her and very proud of all of them.
That's right. And I look forward, as the LA Progressive, we look forward to partnering with La Defensa and helping to promote and endorse, educate our electorate about these very worthy candidates. Now, I know that La Defensa is a young organization, and we want it to grow. We want it to expand. Do you see an expansion of it if it continues? Do you see an expansion of this educational efforts going towards the appellate court or the Supreme Court? Because we had to make some decisions about the appellate court and the Supreme Court justices 10 days ago.
Right.
On November 8th, we had no votes.
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think I appreciate like that you're thinking ahead, because we are too. And we have a lot of avenues where we want to grow. One thing I want to mention before I go into, will we go up to appellate or even, our highest court, is that in 2021, we also built a website called ratemyjudge.la. It's like a Yelp for judges. It has a profile for every active judge in the LA Superior Courts. So anybody can look up a judge that they've interacted with and leave a rating and a review, and it's completely anonymous and free. And so we've built that site. And something, because you're naming we're a young org, like what are our plans? One of our plans is to actually turn that site into a national website that everyone in the country can use to give ratings and reviews of the judges that they're in front of. So we've heard from other people around the country that they have like sincere interest in having a site like that in their hometown. So we are, really going to use 2023 to think about what does that expansion look like? How do we grow this site so that we can bring more judicial accountability to the rest of the country, to the rest of California? But so that's one big plan. And I think because of that idea and that plan that we want to move forward, we will be able to start creating more accountability for judges at the appellate level and, even at higher courts. And I think, we will always try to weigh in with these types of elections, because they're very important. And not all judges are elected, right? A lot of them are appointed, but the ones that are elected or the ones that appear on our ballots, we want to make sure that voters have all the background information that they need to be able to make an informed decision when they vote. And I want to shout out one of our colleagues, Titilayo Rasaki. She actually did make, in addition to our voter guide, a kind of like a breakdown of every appellate level judge And what she did too is we didn't necessarily make recommendations, but she created deep analysis of who they are, what kind of law did they practice, where did they go to school, any notable articles that they may have written, who appointed them, for example. So we actually did provide that this year to voters because, we wanted to make sure that people felt informed when they got to that point of their ballot too. So, we will continue to grow that work, especially for 2024. But I know that in the near future, what we want to do is really start thinking about expanding the website, right? And making sure that people around the country can get access to this type of tool.
Awesome. So we're going to put links in this attached to this video to your website, but why don't you tell us again the website? The URL.
Okay, yeah, it's ratemyjudge.la.
Great. So how can the progressive community help your organization? Where would they send donations? Can they volunteer? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so our org is actually a C4 organization, La Defensa, but this year, to be able to support the defenders of justice, I have right here, we actually created a PAC. So the Justice PAC by La Defensa was created to be able to support these 4 candidates. So both of them are receiving donations. So it'd be like La Defensa I think at ladefensa.org, we have access to our Act Blue, and similarly on the Defenders of Justice 2022.com, we have links to our PAC as well, and to be able to donate to that website too for the Defenders of Justice work 2.0.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Gabby, I wanted to thank you for spending some time with the LA Progressive today. We look forward to a continued relationship.
Yes.
I believe that the progressive movement, we really can't do anything without each other. We have to work in coalitions and work in community, and the LA Progressive is absolutely committed to the work that you guys are doing. Again, thank you so much, and we'll be placing links at the bottom if anybody has any questions.
And one thing to add, one thing, Sharon, if anybody out there, if they themselves or they know somebody, an attorney that they feel has what it takes to become a judge, that they've been thinking about it, that they're interested in it, that's something that's been on their mind, we would love to connect with them, because it's a journey, right? And if we can start this process as early as next year, there's so much potential to what we can do in the future to elect more progressive attorneys, more community-based, community-oriented attorneys, to become our next local judges. So I just wanted to put that out there, that if there's anyone that has been thinking about it or has been inspired by the journey of Holly and Liz and Anna and Jiyoung, we have our ears and our DMs open.
I might think about it. Anyway, well, thank you. Thank you so much, Gabby.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much.
So again, this is the LA Progressive. Thank you, everybody, for being with us today, and we'll be providing additional information as it's made available, particularly about the final numbers in the count for the midterm elections 2022. So